Right, good afternoon. I always say this. This is going to be a short live stream. Anyway, I've been looking at what's been happening in Epping. I've spent yesterday all day up in Ballymoney and then Ballymena talking to people about what's been going on in Ballymena. And I think the reality is you can repeat this pattern of what's happened in Ballymena, what's happened in Epping, right the way out across the country. And if you can't repeat it right the way out across the country, you very soon will be able to repeat it. And I did a live stream on Sunday night, and Paul Thorpe jumped on with me, and I said, look, instead of just focusing on one hotel in one area, and obviously that hotel is very, very important in that area, what I think people should do is start doing their own demos, not necessarily hotels, their own demos about these issues in towns and cities up and down the country. So I think now's the time to say, okay, we've seen what's happening in Epping, and we're all cheering on from the sidelines. We've seen what's happened in Ballymena, we're all cheering on from the sidelines. It's time to get organised in your own areas, small groups. Make sure there's no narcissistic, egotistical maniacs anywhere near the thing, because you don't want them coming in and ruin it. But small groups of sensible people that care very deeply about the communities, care very deeply about what's going on, and are willing to get out on the street and take a stand. And I think that's what's important here. It's all right going on the internet, going on Facebook, going on Twitter and giving off. We all do that. But to me, now's the time to actually take a stand and stand up and stand in your local community. If there's a problem in your community with any of these issues, I was looking at the stats there. If I'm going to read these to you, just bear with me 2 seconds. Just pull this off the Daily Telegraph website. Okay. Afghanistan is topping the table for people committing SA crimes. And again, because we're on YouTube, we can't say exactly what that is, but everybody knows. They're topping the table in England and Wales by nationality per 10,000 people. Out of every 10,000 people, 59 are committing SA offences from Afghanistan. When it comes to violent offences, 102 out of every 10,000 people. When it comes to theft, Algeria tops the table, then Morocco, then Romania. Algeria 320 per 10,000 people, Morocco 226, and Romania 132. Now, these are just the stats. This isn't me. I've personally got no beef against anyone from Romania or Congo or whatever the area is that's topping the tables. But if they're coming to our countries and committing violent crime, or they're coming to our countries and carrying out SA on our women and daughters, then I do have a problem. And the stats speak for themselves. Now that was on the Daily Telegraph website. And again, that's all backed up. That's all backed up by what's actually happening on the ground. And of course, the other problem is that police forces, again, as far as I know, they're not recording the ethnicity of the people that are committing these crimes. Now, does that mean that everybody that's coming from the Congo is going to be massively violent? No, but it means that out of every 10,000, according to the stats, 187 are. Does that mean every Afghani that comes across to the country is going to want to attack women and boys and little girls and little boys? No, but what it does mean that 59 out of every 10,000 that come in, according to the stats, are going to be doing that. And as well as that, when you multiply that up, we've been told, whether it's true or not, whether it's just, the media trying to wind us up or people online trying to wind up, but we've been told there could be up to 100,000 people coming through this one Afghan scheme, not the other schemes, because there's plenty of other schemes as well, from this one Afghan scheme that seems to be highly flawed and is a result of the government panicking after a data breach and causing themselves all sorts of problems. Basically, the Tory party's made themselves unelectable probably for the next 20 years. And the Labour Party, incidentally, because the Labour Party continued on with this scheme once the Tory party got into power. Instead of stopping it straight away, they had a review which took a year and allowed 1,000 more people to come into the country. But putting the Afghan thing aside, the reality is that we are importing massive numbers of men primarily into our country that don't share our culture, don't share our values, and are creating all sorts of problems. Now, I'm going to say something else here. I'm going to check in the comments. I'm going to say something else. One of the things that we can't do, and this is where we need to be extremely careful. And obviously, everything according to Keir Starmer's far right, everything according to Hope Not Hate's far right, anything to the left of Chairman Mao, according to these people, are far right. Okay, but the reality is there still is a far right in this country. There still are people who are racist, anti-Semitic, and filled with hate, and hate people purely and simply because of the color of their skin or because they're Jewish. And that is completely and utterly wrong. And my radar's always up on that, because what I don't want is to be involved in any movement that has those infiltrators from those groups coming into the game, or has egotistical, narcissistic maniacs coming into the game as well. And of course, everybody that speaks publicly has a certain amount of ego, and we're all prone to a little bit of narcissism as well, if we're brutally honest. But I'm talking about people that really think that they are the only ones that can be the solution to the problem. We've got to be very wary of those people, right? And if you get somebody that is far right, what I always try and do, if I encounter genuinely far right racist people, and I'm interacting with them, I will tell them exactly what I think. I'll tell them why I think they're wrong, and I'll try and bring them onto our side of the argument, because maybe they're just being influenced by evil actors and evil players that want to get them involved in that. So I think that has to be said, right? So I'm caveating everything with that we're not, this isn't about race. It isn't about where people necessarily come from, but it is certainly about culture, and it is certainly about one demographic. And of course, people will say, well, I'm being an Islamophobe or whatever. But there's one demographic that potentially has the potential, if it gets radicalized, to cause absolute mayhem and chaos in this country. And we all know what I'm talking about. I'm not going to say it on this channel, but we all know that demographic that we're talking about. So we've got to be, we're walking a tightrope. Doing what we're doing, we're walking a tightrope. And that's why what Tommy's doing with the Unite the Kingdom movement, and we've all been doing with him, is so important. Because what Tommy's doing, he's saying, if you're black, if you're Asian, if you're Chinese, if you're white, doesn't matter what color you are, doesn't even matter that much what religion you are, right? If you love the United Kingdom and genuinely love the United Kingdom, and you're patriotic and you love the country, then come to our demos, join us as we fight against the extremes and fight against our disgusting and despicable government and the political elites that are pushing this insane mass immigration into this country. So there's a real balancing act here, because I'm not going to ever compromise on my stand, which says I am never going to judge somebody on the color of their skin, and I'm never going to be anti-Semitic. I'm never going to compromise on those things. But what I am angry about, and what every single one of us has a right to be angry about, is people coming in with completely misogynistic views, completely unchristian views, and in fact anti-Christian views, coming to our country, setting up shop, getting into positions of power, getting into positions of influence. As far as I know, there's up to 1,000 Islamists in the civil service, and how much sway they have, and I think there's about 800 or 900 in the Home Office alone. Now, again, fact check me on these things. If what I'm saying is wrong, I'm quite happy to be called out on these sort of things. So what do we do? Well, first of all, right, let me suggest something, because there is a way to de-radicalize our movement. There's a way to make sure that nobody in our movement is genuinely a Nazi or a fascist or far right, real far right. Okay, there's a way to do it, and it's very simple. Go to thepledge.org.uk and sign the pledge, because you cannot sign that with a clear conscience if you're a racist or an anti-Semite, because it's very, very clear it's against that. But also, what the pledge calls out is Islamic fundamentalism, Islamism, the woke agenda, the far left, the globalists, the communists. That document is such a balanced document. I believe it represents where the vast majority of people are in the country. Yes, it was a lot of Christian people were involved in it, including Father Calvin Robinson in the genesis of it, and obviously my friend David Rhodes did all the heavy lifting on it. But the reality is, and he's a Christian, but the reality is you don't have to be a Christian to sign the pledge, but it's got that balance that comes with Christianity. And I think that's really important. So if everybody signs the pledge, that means that we can make sure that we don't get the nutcases in there. And there's been I don't know the full story, but there's been an incident in Belfast. I don't want to highlight it. I don't want to shine a light on it. And if what I think's happened, I'm right about, it is an absolutely catastrophic assault on a Christian church in Belfast, purely and simply because the people had a different skin color and behave in a different way. Now, as far as I know, again, I don't have the full information on it. I'm not going to go into detail on it. But what we can't have is our movement turning into a far right race and ethnicity oriented movement, because we've never been about that. Tommy's never been about that. I've never been about that. None of the people that's been thought leaders in this movement have been about that. And I'm worried about entries. I'm worried about people coming in and turning it into something it's not. We're never going to have a completely white ethno state, and nor would I want a completely white ethno state. Again, I go back to the soldiers that I served within in the military who were from ethnic minorities, absolutely superb people. So it's not about ethnicity, but what it is about, it's about stopping people coming to our country and taking the mick. The vast majority of people in the UK are not interested in skin colour. I know that for a fact. Up in Ballymena, I'm talking to the people in Ballymena for a month. Every single one of them, they're making pains to let people know that they are not interested in skin color. What they're interested in is what the people do when they come to the country. Do they contribute to the country? Do they love the country? Do they embrace the culture of the country? Or do they try and set up their own silos, their own microcultures, and then try and take over the country? That's what concerns me. And I think Islamists are trying to do that in the UK, without a shadow of a doubt. So my suggestion is this, right? I'm going to make 3 suggestions. First of all, sign the pledge. If you haven't signed the pledge already, go and sign the pledge, and then go out into your local community and start organizing pressure groups that do street demos, that get out on the street. If there's a migrant hotel, get outside the migrant hotel, do a peaceful demo. Don't break the law. Don't want anyone going to prison for this, because we don't need people in prison. We need people on the electoral roll, not on a prison roll. Yeah, we need people that can vote, and when the next election comes, vote these people out. Sign the pledge, get involved in street demonstrations in your local areas. Also, I strongly recommend this, because I do believe that this can be all synced. Try and get to London for the 13th of September. That is going to be massive. You'll be able to build connections, get to know more people, make friends with people in the movement, and again, try and push the agenda that we're pushing and that we've been pushing for years, that there's a real threat to British democracy, there's a real threat to our sovereignty, and that's the fight that we're engaged in. We're on about protecting our country. We know that the Labour Party and the left are not doing it. We know the Conservatives didn't do it. The Conservative Party brought in over 8 million people from 2015 into this country. That's not counting the illegals. 8 million. They allowed 1.2 million people to stay in this country illegally. That's what the Conservative Party have done. It is absolutely disgusting and scandalous. And all the parties in Northern Ireland, apart from the TUV, are exactly the same. They're pandering to, they're putting migrants first. Instead of putting British people first, they're putting migrants first. And that has to stop. Absolutely has to stop. And there need to be, as Nick Tenconi says, they need to deport, right? There needs to be mass deportations. But what's the best political model for achieving that? I think it's very simple. Okay, so we've signed the pledge. We started getting organized at street level. We're starting pressure groups. We're setting up little local Facebook pages. We're setting up little communities. So you're setting up little communities autonomously. You don't need to be connected with any political party in the beginning. What you need to do is find like-minded people in your area. Do it through social media or whatever. So sign the pledge. Set up your little groups. Then join a political party. And my advice, because I believe in this project, is join Advance, because I trust Ben Habib. I trust the other people that are around Ben Habib because I know them personally. I know they're people of integrity. And I also know and believe that Ben Habib is a man that has the ability to lead this country. I mean that. I don't believe Nigel Farage does. And so join Advance. And let's really start taking this country by storm, because I believe this is, in the little thumbnail of the video, I put state of emergency. I believe we're moving into a state of emergency. We can't have violence on our streets. We can't have mass riots every single weekend on our street. It's disastrous. It's a disaster if that happens. Alfred, thanks very much for the super chat there. That I do appreciate that. Again, I spend probably 80% of my time doing this, which makes maybe it makes me a bit sad. I don't know, but I'm just going to check some of the chats here. So just to summarize what I've said so far: sign the pledge, get involved. In fact, I'm going to put the pledge thumbnail up here, guys, so you can see it. I know most of you have signed it already, but let's just. Okay. There it is, the pledge.org.uk. So the first thing is, and I know most of you guys, I'm preaching to the choir. I know most of you guys have signed the pledge, and I appreciate that. And I'm very grateful for you signing the pledge. But this is what we need to do. We need to be engaged in our local communities. We need boots on the ground. So once we got to that stage, we've got the pledge, we've signed the pledge, we've got boots on the ground, we've joined a political party, then we need to get more politically engaged. In other words, we need people standing for local councils. We need people standing in elections. We need people setting up little branches of Advance up and down the country. And again, obviously, that's going to be a little bit down the road, because Advance is obviously waiting to get this 30,000 number of people joined, and then they're going to pull the trigger and launch the party. But it would be great to have everything in waiting. So you've got your little group in your local area that understands pretty much what the ideology of Advance is, because Advance isn't anything to do with the pledge. We're not connected at all politically, but ideologically, we're on exactly the same page as far as I can see. And that's why I'm involved in Advance, because Ben is the only leading politician that's actually stood up and openly signed the pledge. Lots of them were invited. Ben's the one that stood there. Sorry, Ben and Andrew Bridgen and Peter Whittle. Let's give all the ones that were there their due, because Peter Whittle's a politician, a great guy. Andrew Bridgen, another great guy. And of course, another, a lot of other people signed it as well. But they're the ones that I know about that signed it publicly. Okay. So that's why I'm pushing Advance. I have no vested interest. I don't think I'll ever stand in politics. I've thought about this long and hard. A lot of people said, "Oh, Richard, you should be a politician." I am too much of a loose cannon to be a politician. My mouth gets me into loads and loads of trouble. And what I don't want to do is bring Advance into disrepute. So unless I can cool my jets and learn a bit of a little bit more self-control, then I'm probably not fit to be a politician, because I'm a little bit of a hothead. And unfortunately, the current political atmosphere doesn't allow for hotheads to stand for politics, because they'll go through your Twitter and they'll find me ranting about Islamists and people that are causing problems, and obviously they'll basically disbar me from being a politician. So I'm a commentator and I'm an activist, and I am, yes, I am pushing an agenda. 100% I'm pushing an agenda. Sheila, thank you so much for that. Thanks so much for the super chat. And again, these super chats do make a difference. I do appreciate anybody that's helping out in this way. There's a few different ways you can help out. There's I think on the Richard Inman channel, there's a link to the Counter Media PayPal. And again, the super chats do help. So thank you very much for that. I do appreciate it. I'm going to look at some of these comments now, guys. Okay. God, Jesus, Holy Spirit, we are children of God, gifted meekness equally, private possessions, real and estate. Thank you for that. Yeah, I appreciate that, Kelly. It's I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing. I mean, I enjoy doing the videos. I enjoy making. I've been working on the documentary. I was up in Ballymena yesterday. The documentary. Hopefully, I've got all the elements, got all the bits that I need for the documentary. And it should be out in the next couple of weeks. So I'm going to have a rough version across to Tommy's team, hopefully by the end of the week. And then we'll see what we can do with that. I'll be obviously, no matter what happens, I'm going to put it on my channel. But as far as I know, it's going to go on Tommy's channels as well. So that should be exciting because it'll be sort of co-production between Counter Media and Urban Scoop. So that's been taking a lot of my time. But again, guys, and thanks for all the encouragement, because I'm not. Okay. Well, here's the thing about the pledge, right? Is it a legally binding? We could turn it into a legally binding document. In fact, there's a solicitor friend of mine, and again, I don't want to say something that's not true. So I'm trying to bring it back from my memory banks, because there's that much going on in my life at the minute. I'm not across everything as perfectly as I could be, but if people make a commitment when they sign the pledge that it is a pledge, in other words, if a politician says, yes, I will abide by everything in the pledge, and signs it, and that's why we've got about, what have we got? Again, I'm going from memory. I think we've got about 60,000 emails now. We've had loads more. We had probably 70, 80,000, maybe more. But when you dedupe them and take the duplication out, because it's like people sometimes saying things twice, and you take the gash emails out and you take the spam out, we're left with about 60,000, roughly 60,000 emails on our email database. And obviously a few people unsubscribe, so that's variable. So, but we really need to get that up for it to be a real political force. And again, I'm a member of Advance, but I put the pledge higher than any political party because it's an ideology. And what I say with the pledge is that if Advance apostatize and turn away from being true believers in everything that Ben's talking about, sovereignty, democracy, equality, sovereignty, freedom, equality, democracy, and sovereignty are the core principles of the pledge, basically, and all the different sections of the pledge cover all those things in detail. Okay. If Advance ever turned away from that, then I would turn away from Advance, and I'd recommend other people did, but they won't because there's been checks and balances put into Advance to make sure that doesn't happen. And again, I'm not speaking for Advance. I am not a spokesman. I am just a lowly member. I'm not in any way involved in the leadership, and I think I want to stay in that position where I'm a friend and a member of Advance, but I can also then be a critical friend and member and speak publicly about things. Whereas if I had a position in Advance, I wouldn't be able to do that, I don't think. So that's kind of where I'm at, because the thing about Advance is you can join Advance and you pretty much say what you want. You're not going to get thrown out of the party. You might not be able to stand for office as a member of the college or as a candidate, but they're not going to boot people out of the party because they said something silly on Twitter 20 years ago or 10 years ago, how long Twitter's been going. So that's why I'm so enthusiastic about Advance. Okay, let's have a look. Hope that answered the question, Gordon. Yeah. We need Advance to keep reform honest. Yeah. Look, I mean, do you know what? I mean, one of the problems we've got with reform, it sounds terribly conspiratorial, but the more I look at it, the more I see it as a stitch up. I saw a woman talking on, whose show was it this morning? I can't remember. One of the Talk TV presenters, and she was from the Epping demo, and she started talking about the far right and people trying to take over the demo in Epping. Now, this woman is a reform candidate, and I'm going, I didn't see real far right people, unless I missed something. I didn't see real far right people. I mean, I saw Nick Tinconi there. Nick Tinconi's not far right, and again, like say, I'm not a cheerleader for UKIP, but Nick's not far right. So who are these far right people that she's saying were trying to hijack the event? I haven't seen that Epping thing. And I think what you'll find, the same in Ballymena, people were saying about Ballymena, there's all these people came in from outside the area and got involved in rioting. As far as I know, everybody that's been arrested for the riots in Ballymena is from Ballymena. And that was an explosion of anger. And that's why we have to get this right. We have to get this right. We have to make sure that by the next election, we have a viable option that is going to change the country. I mean, all I saw from Nigel was he's going to open up loads of prisons. Now, that's not very libertarian. yes, we need to open prisons to detain illegal migrants and put migrant criminals into before they get deported back to from whence they came. So we're going to need more prison places. But to become a very authoritarian leader, and again, I'm not being an apologist for crime or criminals, but I just think there was something a bit off about the way Nigel was speaking yesterday. But then again, I'm no fan of Nigel, so I wouldn't I? Okay, let's, Pauline. I do appreciate that. That's very kind of you. That's brilliant. Yeah. Actually, Bess will be able to tell you, because Bess has been very kind and supported me quite a lot in super chats as well. Get the do you want me to put the rainbow on the? Hold on a minute. Let's have a look at. Should we put the rainbow on? Now, I think. Let's have a look. Where are we? I don't know if I can do this, guys. There you go. There you go. Let's take back the rainbow, eh? Let's take back the rainbow. So why should the sign of God's covenant with man be taken over by people with all sort of weird appetites, right? Because God gave the rainbow to the people. No one group can take the rainbow and steal it. So there you go. We're taking back the rainbow, okay? I won't give up. We're a strong nation. I know it doesn't feel that way right now. It's a slow uphill battle, but we will win. Hero Starmer. Yeah, we will win. We will win. We will win. But we've got, do you know what? Here's another thing, right? Here's another thing. Obviously, what I've always said about the far right, I will never have any, I will never give the far right any credence. Okay. I'm never going to support the far right. But oh, thanks for that, Scott. Really appreciate that. Have a pint of me, old chap. You do so much for the movement. It's the least I can do. We need to work on getting UKIP, Homeland, English constitutionals all working together. Scott, do you know what, mate? I mean, for me, I think everybody needs to join Advance. I think that honestly, the best way that we can de-radicalize our country and make sure that we don't have any wrong uns trying to run it is sign and get behind the pledge and join the Advance Party. That's what I think we can do in terms of politics, right? And join the Unite the Kingdom movement. Get down to London on the 13th of September. Please get to London on the 13th of September. If you live in England, Scotland, Wales, get to London on the 13th of September, because that's, if we have 500,000 people there, that's going to send out a massive message. And again, when it comes to our events and our demos, they must be peaceful. Do you know what? I'm going to turn that off now because that's starting to annoy me. See if I can get that back. There we go. I was going to say, I don't want to set anyone's epilepsy off with the flashing lights in the background. Yeah. Okay. Tommy knows exactly what needs to be done, but our so-called politicians haven't the guts to implement them. Only Tommy has guts. Well, I would say we do have politicians with the guts, but we need to get behind them. And the politicians that we need to get behind are Ben Habib, the Advance Party. And if Rupert, I must admit, somebody mentioned the Homeland Party there. From what I know about the Homeland Party, they are ethno-nats, right? In other words, they want to have a, again, do you know what? I'm not going to say it because I'm not exactly sure. But as far as I know, a lot of the people in that party, in the Homeland Party, are ex-BNP type people. Again, fact check me on that. I think the guy that runs it is ex-BNP. Okay, and I think they are an ethno-nat party. But fact check me and let me know on that. But that's what I'm led to believe. And again, I don't spend a lot of time looking at other parties. So if people know about this sort of stuff, let me know in the comments. Richard, you can mentor the rest of us to help advance. Look, that's what I'm trying to do. That's exactly what I'm trying to do. We all need to work together as a team. It's as simple as that. And that's why I'm saying if we all sign the pledge, then we know we're all on the same page ideologically. If we all join Advance, then we know we're all on the same page politically. And again, my other thing is, as a Christian, I'm saying get to a good Christian church, a good evangelical Christian church. I'm blessed to have loads within, it's like beaches. I've got about 4 or 5 beaches within 10 minutes in the car from my house. I've also got 4 or 5 good churches that I could go to. And I've been going to a really good church in Lisnabreen in Bangor called Shiloh Christian Fellowship. The pastor there, I've known him for years, great guy, Tatty Gordon. And it's just a solid biblical church that has no airs or graces. It's very working class and proud to be working class. And, not that the class should ever come into church, but it is what it is. And it suits me down to the ground. But to try and find a good evangelical church in your area. If you can't find a good church, I'm going to keep trying to do this stuff on Sunday. And I feel so inadequate in trying to do Christian teaching, especially when I know how much of a struggle my Christian life's been lately. But I will keep trying to do that. I'll keep trying to do the basic Christian teaching on a Sunday, because I think all these things are important. People are talking about revival in the UK, Christian revival. I hope there is one happening. I don't know for sure. I know a lot of people are getting interested in Christianity, but a true revival is a move of God that changes people's hearts and minds and changes their behavior. And that's what I personally need. And I think that's what we all need. And it's all connected. All of this, the spiritual side of it, the stuff on the street, the politics, everything is connected. And we're in the battle of our lives. We really are in the battle of our lives. And I think what we're looking at the minute is the last opportunity to solve all this peacefully. And it involves politics, it involves religion, it involves street activism, it involves doing all the social media stuff. Everything is connected. And yeah. Yeah, absolutely, Jabba. Absolutely agree with that. Absolutely agree with that. Wow. So 2 Welsh Conservative gone to reform. That's not a surprise, because it's becoming the Conservative Party, and a very wet Conservative Party at that. Very disappointed in that. And Michelle O'Neill has said she'll welcome Hamas in Ireland. That is disgusting. That is absolutely. And it says, well, look at what she supported for all those years. Look what her family supported. Don't start me on Michelle O'Neill, because I'll say something that I will get into trouble for. My vote's for UKIP. It was reform, but I'm saying that they make the wrong decision. So Nick Tenconi has won my vote. So yeah, listen, do you know, that's absolutely up to you. It's not mine anymore, and it was until very recently. So, but everybody's got the freedom to vote exactly how they will and they wish. And what I'm hoping is that everybody from all the different parties comes across to Advance, and Advance becomes a massive, powerful force. And like I said, when I was doing a live stream the other night with Paul, if I've got this all wrong and I've made a terrible mistake and UKIP's the answer, then I'll eat humble pie and, I'll suggest people vote UKIP. The bottom line is I'm not particularly party political. If I think Advance is the mechanism to save our country, I'll support Advance. If that changed, I'll stop supporting Advance. When I thought did I ever really think UKIP was? No, I didn't. Do you know what? If I'm brutally honest, in 2018, when we had Jared Batten and we had Tommy involved, and then it got absolutely scuppered by some really bad actors, including, I believe, Nigel Farage. In fact, I know Nigel Farage scuppered it, because he was the one that made the dreadful speech about calling us all thugs and football hooligans when a lot of us were veterans and UKIP members. Dreadful man, Nigel Farage. So in 2018, I thought we had a real chance of doing something amazing with UKIP, right? The problem was UKIP was controlled by sinister elements, and they stopped our project. And our project was to turn UKIP into a bulwark against Islamic extremism, to stop, obviously, mass immigration, and basically do very much what Geert Wilders was doing with the Freedom Party in the Netherlands. Okay, that was kind of the idea that we had with UKIP in 2018, and we nearly did it. And I'm not boasting, but I was very much involved in that. There was about half a dozen of us talking straight after we started Veterans Against Terrorism. Well, I didn't start Veterans Against Terrorism. Straight after Veterans Against Terrorism launched and I joined, a lot of us started talking about, we need a political solution to this, otherwise we're going to end up with a Northern Ireland situation, because people were so angry. And that's why we did the UKIP thing, because we thought we could use UKIP as that political solution. And now we're sitting here 8 years on, and I'm saying again that I believe we have got a political solution that is pretty much watertight in terms of not allowing people to get into it, and either from the extremes of any side or from the deep state to try and destabilize it. But I'm going to be, as we go on this journey with Advance, I'm going to be talking to everybody that I can talk to that will listen to me in the leadership of Advance, and just making sure all those checks and balances are in place, that we can't be in a situation where the party gets taken over by wrong uns. But that's all to be discussed, isn't it? Okay. No masks, demos. We are not ashamed. Absolutely. People don't need to wear masks at demos. If you're going to have a riot, then you probably need to wear a mask. But if you're going to go there and be respectful to a demo, you don't need to wear masks. Absolutely not. Richard, we're up against it, but thank you for being a strong man and bring up. Well, I'll be honest with you, Nuncha, I don't feel like a very strong man. I feel like a very, very weak and flawed man. But the reality is that God's good, and I know that when I'm doing this, I'm doing God's will, and all I can do is just keep doing what I'm doing, and as long as you guys are supporting me and standing on this channel and giving me the encouragement, I'll keep doing it. If everybody gets in the comments and says, right, Richard, we don't want you doing this anymore, you're a pain in the neck, we're sick of you, then obviously I'll be out, you know what I mean? But that's giving loads of people in the comments the opportunity to tell me to clear off. Yeah, okay. Homeland are working with. I've heard that. I think that's a big mistake for Restore. Be honest with you. Look, and again, I mean, when I see something wrong in whatever party it is, I'm gonna call it out. And I think that's a massive, massive mistake for not going to say Reform, for Restore. Restore should not have anything to do with the Homeland Party if it's what I think it is. And I haven't seen anything to contradict what I'm saying about Homeland. But again, correct me if I'm wrong. Correct me. Well, do you know what? I don't like bullies. I'll be honest with you. I've been, when you get into this movement, you get certain people target. I've been a target of a vile, disgusting hate campaign. And again, I don't call out the people that did it publicly. They're from many different sides of the movement, and I just keep doing what I'm doing and ignore them. But the way that people have gone after Paul is completely unjustified, completely unfair, and I'm not going to stand by and watch my friends get bullied. So yeah. But thanks for that, and Angelina, thank you. Yeah. Yes, I think. And again, I watched Tommy on Twitter about an hour ago, and he said he was asking advice for people whether he should go or whether he should not go. And I think if he's not going, I think he's probably making the right decision. He's every right to go anywhere he wants in the country. He's a free man, and if he wants to go to Epping, he should go. But if he's not going, I understand why he's not going, because I honestly think we're better just saying, tell you what, do it Epping, you do Epping, Bangor, you do Bangor, Ballymena, you do Ballymena. All over the country, different people doing their own things. But again, what does concern me too is that we don't let any racist elements get into these, or any racist or narcissistic players get involved in any of these demos up and down the country. And I've always got my antenna up. I'm always looking out for that and seeing where people are really coming from. And I think that at the end of the day, my test is, have you signed the pledge, and do you believe what you've signed? Okay. Yeah, absolutely. Listen, I totally agree with that. What I'm talking about, and I think this is the interesting thing. We've always said this. And again, I don't want to get bogged down in the far right, far left thing, but the far right and the far left are the two sides of the same coin. if you call the Nazis and the fascists in the 1930s far right, which we do, and then you call the communists far left, between them, they were responsible for killing more people than anybody's been killed, I think, in any religious wars, maybe apart from what the jihadists have done down through the years. But they're kind of all on a par, aren't they? The jihadists and the far left and the far right. And again, let's get it right. I suppose during the Reformation, Christians of various different denominations had a good go at slaughtering a lot of people as well. So it's just human beings. Human beings have a proclivity to be very, very evil and do bad things. But I think that the threats that we're facing now are not coming from Christianity. They're coming from atheistic cults like communism and globalism and fascism, and they're also coming from Islamists. They're the main threats, I think, to peace and stability in the world. And again, also, ultranationalism can be dangerous as well. Non-fascist ultranationalism can be very, very dangerous. Everything to me has to be grounded in genuine biblical Christianity, New Testament Christianity. If everything that we do politically is grounded in that and comes from that, you can't really go far wrong, as far as I know. But anyway, if I can and able, I might get involved in politics. I would gladly stand up. Yeah, absolutely, Bess. And again, totally. Hi, Richard. We met at Telford a few years back. Do you have any Christian patriots near Durham and Sunderland? No Christian. I don't know about the Christians up there. Actually, there was a couple up somewhere in Newcastle that I've been in touch with, and I've kind of lost touch with them. If you're watching, the people that used to be in touch from Newcastle, get in touch with me, and we can try and put this guy in touch with you guys. But there are people in Sunderland and that area. One of them, great friend of mine, Mickey Hopper, very tragically died a few years ago of a heart attack. Very suddenly died. Really nice guy. Was going through a lot of stress, family breakup, and all that sort of stuff. And he just went to bed one day and didn't wake up. But yes, there are other people in that area. So let me think about that, and I'll maybe try and find a way of. Do you know what? One of the problems we've got with this, actually, if you can get me on Twitter, direct message me on Twitter about that, and I'll put you in touch with some people in Sunderland that I've known for a while that are good people. But again, it's like, you lose touch with people, don't you? And that's one of the things about the movement. As it grows, everybody lose touches with each other. The people of the UK must unite together for the sake of saving the country from falling. Absolutely agree. That's what we're doing. That's what the Unite the Kingdom is about. Unite the Kingdom is not about standing against people. It's about bringing people together. And what you'll find is, because of what we believe in, and because the pledge, again, you can say pretty much the ideology of Unite the Kingdom is the pledge. I don't think I'm speaking out of turn when I say that, because the two things came out of the same meeting. So the Unite the Kingdom movement and the pledge are very much sister or brother and sister organizations. And I think from our point of view, what we've got to do is stand on those principles and stand together. And if we do that, I think we've got a very good chance of winning. Okay, guys, let's have a look at these. Any chance we could get Tatty interested in politics again? No. Well, I'll speak to him, but there's a very specific reason why not, and I'm not going to say it on the chat. But there are genuine reasons why he doesn't get involved in politics. There's nothing sinister there. But he does have very genuine reasons for not being involved. He gives us a lot of spiritual support. He prays for us. He's been praying for me for a long, long time. And man, do I need and appreciate his prayers. But I'll speak to him. I'll talk to Tatty again, see what he says. Do you know what, Paul? And that gives me hope. When you're reacting like that, that gives me hope, and that encourages me. So thank you very, very much for that. For the guys, the super chats, thank you so much for them. You all know, I mean, I didn't even have a monetized channel until I suppose a month. This channel's been monetized for a month, and that's why I am being a little bit more careful in what I say on the lives. But I do appreciate everybody that's supporting this, because really and truthfully, it takes up just a massive amount of my time and my effort doing this, and I'm pretty much doing this probably 80% of the time. And my business has been absolutely hammered for me being an activist anyway. Obviously, suffers when I'm doing this. So I do appreciate what you're all doing. Right, let's have a look. Yeah, exactly, Grace. I mean, that's the thing. We've got to be very, very careful. I mean, why would you join the Homeland Party when there's advance there? You know, why would you join UKIP or any of the other parties when there's advances there? And again, I know loads of people have joined UKIP, right? And I appreciate that. And I told loads of people to join UKIP in 2018. But I think advance, to me, is the only way to go. And if we all get behind one party, reform, I do believe reform could fall apart. If reform doesn't fall apart, I think that the election could come down to a fight between a party like Advance and and reform. It could be as crazy as that by the time we get to the next election. Who's going to vote for the Labour Party? I mean, like, honestly, I think anyone that votes for the Labour Party, you need to go and see a psychiatrist. That's all I'm saying. There's something wrong with you. If you vote for those absolute treacherous, mealy-mouthed communist scumbags, then you need to go and see a shrink. I'm Catholic. I watch live mass every day on YouTube. Start there if you don't want to go to church. I mean, obviously, I'm not from a Catholic background. I'm from a Reformed, Pentecostal sort of background, which is a bit of a mix. But I think we're at the stage now, Jabba, where the actual denominational labels don't matter as much. Do you believe that Jesus Christ is God come in the flesh to die for our sins and save us all from hell? That's one of the fundamentals, isn't it? Do you believe in the virgin birth? Do you believe in the deity of Christ? Do you believe in the resurrection? Do you believe in the Bible? The Apostles' Creed is a great summary of our faith. Some of the creeds going right the way up to the Nicene Creed, Athanasian Creed, are great creeds to study and look at because they're summaries of the faith. And for me, I wouldn't go to church every day or mass every day, but I listen to the Bible. Try to go through the Bible in 1 year every year. Try to read the Bible every day. Try to read the Psalms and pray the Psalms. The Church of England Book of Common Prayer is a great place to dip into if you want to really find out what church should be like. The old one, not the modern Book of Common Prayer, the old 1600s one, the Cranmer one. Yeah. Pauline Pace, I understand. Lots of sleepless nights here, head and heart full of worry. Keep the faith, my friend. Church does me good, and coming here, love this a lot. Yeah, absolutely. 6 o'clock phantoms. Again, this keeps me sane as well as keeping you guys sane. Okay. Well, Kelly, we're going to keep doing that. We're going to keep doing the Sunday night Bible class. I've got to keep doing that. I've got to keep focused on it, 'cause I think that, and it's not a Bible class. It's learning together, isn't it? Because I'm not in any fit state to teach anyone anything, because I've got so much to learn. Yeah, Chris, appreciate that. Appreciate that. Do you know there's so many Christians involved in this now that I'm going, how can we lose? And we need to pray. We need to pray for each other. I'll be honest with you. I'm just going to be brutally honest with everyone on this channel, right? This year has been the most difficult year of my life, bar none. And it's only the grace of God, the love of God, and prayer that's got me through this. It's just been the most difficult year. I've had people literally try and destroy me. I've had bereavements. I've had all sorts of other issues I'm not going to go into. But to me, it would be very easy for me to just go away, forget about all this, just, do my business, forget about the country, forget about all the amazing people that follow me in this movement and follow me in the chats and stuff, which I appreciate. And it's not about following me, it's about following Christ and basically helping each other. But a lot of people in the chat have kept me going. have kept me going. But most of all, there's more than anything else that's kept me going, is the Bible and the author of the Bible, God, the Holy Spirit. So yeah, so just thank you everybody for supporting me. Yeah, we get haters and there's people attack me. I don't really care about them. They're irrelevant. But the people that come, and there's normally a hardcore. There's about 700 on this now. There's about 700 come on a on a night, and you know, that's a good number of people that are totally motivated and know what needs to be done, and we're learning how to do it. We're getting to a stage where we know what to do and we know how to do it, and all we've got to do is put into practice. And that's why I'm very repetitive, but I'm repetitive for a reason. You know, it is faith, family, flag. It is getting your ideology right. It is getting right with God. It is, you know, learning about politics and getting involved in a political party. It is getting out on the street. All of those things. And if we could get, we've got 700. If we could get 700,000 people on this channel, you know, doing what we're doing now, then we'd be in a really healthy position. Because I'm not in this for money or for ego or for people seeing my face. To be honest with you, I don't really like having my face out there all the time. I'm not doing it because of that. I'm doing it because nobody else is there to do it, and I know I'm quite good at what I do. But the price that you pay for having your face out there can be enormous. So I'm doing this because I know that I have to do it to do my bit to save the country, and to hopefully save the country for my children and my grandchildren, my grandchildren's children. You know, so that's why I'm doing it, because I could be a lot more happy if I was going swimming every day, going to the gym every day, making money, you know, looking after my family, you know, that'd be so much easier. But the bottom line is, we've got to do what we've got to do. Okay. I agree with that 100%. Reform UK has been infiltrated by Mohammedans. I 100% believe that's the case. Well, that's what Michael, do you know what? That's what we've been doing. We've been really pushing that. When I speak at events now, I was speaking at one on, was it Sunday or Saturday? Saturday. Speaking at one on Saturday in Belfast. And it was a good event. It was a good event, well organised. Really nice crowd, a lot of Christians there, but I have got to push the Christian message, and I've got to push the message that it's not about race. I've got to push the message that it's about unity. I've got to push the message that we've got to do it peacefully and politically, because that's what I believe is the truth. Because once if we got on the far right route, not that I would do it anyway, but you're lost. How can you win an argument when you're morally wrong? If we go down the violence route, how can you win an argument when you're being an apologist for violence? You can't. Now, I must say, the reality of the situation, what happened in Ballymena, it seems to have achieved what I suppose the guys that got involved in that wanted it to achieve. They've managed to get run that mafia, that Roma mafia out of town, and that's a challenge to me, because at the end of the day, nobody wants to see violence, but those people exploded in rage because Ballymena have been tormented by those evil people, that evil mafia. I'm not on about all Romas. I'm on about that evil little mafia clique that was in Ballymena. And everybody I'm talking to in Ballymena is saying it's the best thing that happened to Ballymena in the last 7 years. So don't know what you do with that, but that's just the reality of the situation. And the truth is that that's a challenge. That's a challenge. And none of these people are extremists I'm talking to. None of them are racist, but they're saying what happened had to be done to get those people out of there. And that's a terrible indictment on a system that's completely failed, because it's the police's job to remove criminals and gangsters from an area. It shouldn't be down to teenage boys and young men. There's a lot of them going to go to prison for that for a long time, which is the real tragedy of it, because nobody was hurt in those riots. There was nobody injured. A few policemen got cuts and scratches. There was nobody seriously injured in those riots. I saw the riots. They weren't. I've seen far more vicious riots Belfast, in even in North Down, back when Drumcree and stuff was on, far more vicious stuff. When I was in the military, far more vicious stuff. They used to throw blast bombs at us, not like one or two petrol bombs. You'd have petrol bombs raining down, and you're like and you know what they do? They throw loads of petrol over you in bottles, and then they'd light it with a petrol bomb. That's what used to happen in riots back in the 80s and 90s. But anyway, thank you for that. Really appreciate that. Really, really appreciate that. my newly born grandson's stronger than Starmer. Yes, as far as I know, he is. I mean, as far I can't remember the details of it. Again, I should be across these things, but I'm not across it as much as I should be. But why would you make an alliance with Homeland? That's what I can't understand about Restore. And I think it's that young lad, the young dark-haired lad. I forget his name, Charlie Downs. I think he's the one that's done that. That's what I'm led to believe. Hello, mate. Do you think pulling people up who is for the movement and not playing into the hands of the jihadis to use for their own gains? Richard, do you think pulling people up who is for the movement not playing? No, not if listen. I don't count people that are racist part of the movement. Simple as that. That's just the way I feel. If you're a genuine racist and you're a Nazi and you're bothered about people's skin color, then that's not what I'm about. So do you know what, mate? I'll always just be honest, and that I'll just tell you the truth. I'll tell you what I think. So I'm not pulling anyone up. The reality is the jihadis are going to do what jihadis do. Nothing's going to stop them, and nothing's going to change them. But what we've got to do is we've got to be better. Right. Yeah, well, I think it would make. I think if Tommy doesn't go, he's making the right decision. And I didn't speak to Tommy until he put that message out, and I just left him a voice message saying I think you're doing the right thing. So I think he's better not going. That's my, and because you know what all the idiots will do. Oh, you're scared to go. He's not scared to go anywhere, Tommy. He's literally thinking about the people, and that's leadership. What Tommy's doing by saying I'm not going is showing leadership, and I'm very, very proud of him. I think it's great. Yeah, absolutely. I think Tommy needs to be super careful. The state want him out of the way by any means necessary. Arresting him is so easy for them. Totally. If he goes up there and there's a riot, I mean, imagine if he goes. Here's a scenario, right? So let's say Tommy goes there on Sunday and 30,000 people turn up, which is possible. It is possible, or certainly 10,000, right? The police can't cope with it, or the police gets really leery. There's a mass riot. People break through the police lines, smash windows in the hotel. Who's going to get blamed? Tommy's going to get blamed, right? So if he's not there and that happens, that's nothing to do with him. But if he's there and it happens, straight away, then the headline's going to be Tommy Robinson incites riot at hotel. So he's better not going. And I think the best thing that we can all do is basically start our own. I mean, we've been doing it in Bangor for over 2 years. We've got if you're in Northern Ireland, right, and you're anywhere near North Down, Friday night, get in your car, come down to Bangor, 7 p.m. We'll be doing protests outside the migrant hotel. Now, as far as I know, they're running the one down in Bangor, right? The Marine Corps is getting run down as a migrant hotel. As far as I know, they've only got women in there, and we're not against women. If those women are genuine refugees, we're not against women in the hotel. But what we're against is illegal migration, and that's now become a focal point for that. So when people come to our demos on a Friday, they're coming to a place that is basically a focal point for all the anger and all the frustration that everybody's feeling, right? So that's what it's about. Oh, I did it right. Yeah, you've done it. You've done it exactly right, Pauline. And again, thanks so much for your support. It means an absolute massive amount. Really, really appreciate it. Okay. Yeah, I would chat to Craig, no problem. I've seen his stuff. He's doing some great work. He came across to Ballymena, did a great job. So yeah, I'd talk to Craig. Do you know what it is? The problem is with this, there's loads of people that we should be talking to each other, and we don't have time. It's as simple as that. We don't have time because we're all too busy doing what we do. And I would imagine Craig's massively busy because he's all over the place. I'm sure he's got a family as well. But if Craig wants to chat to me, I'd chat to Craig, no problem. He seems like a really good guy. And yeah, okay. Us lot are too far right racist for you, for your thing. Good luck though. Second PSYOP division. Okay. Well, if you're racist, absolutely you're not wanted. So bye. Okay. You can check your bank and look. It's a direct debit outstanding order, then cancel it just in case. Hazel, can you check your bank and look if it's a direct debit outstanding order, then cancel it? Sorry, I'm not sure what you're talking about. That Hazel C. You can. Oh right, okay. You respond to someone, right? Okay, Hazel C. Claire Bear, that's good to know. I trust your word over randoms. Thanks very much for that. Feel better now. Okay, I'm missing something in the chat here. Right. Thanks for that, Mr. X. Hi, Richard. Hi, chat. Hope all well. All are well. Yeah, if you're talking about Homeland, I don't think Homeland are. Well, look, all I'm going to say is with Homeland, there's a lot of very, very strange stuff goes on with Homeland Party. There was something that, again, I've got to be very careful what I say, but yeah, there's things. But I'm just going to say there's things about Homeland Party I'm not happy about, and that's all I'm going to say. The reality is, what we need to do, the only way we're going to win this is get behind one party, and one party that all of us can follow, right? So if you're following the Homeland Party, there's no reason why you couldn't follow Advance and join Advance. But again, it's the DNA of the Homeland Party and the ethno-nationalism of the Homeland Party. That's just not where I'm at. And it's not, if people are at that, that's up to them. But it's not going to give, what's going to give the jihadi sucker is if we become so radical and extreme that nobody follows us. Because the reality, we've got to bring as many people with us as we possibly can. Yeah, I think that's right. I think that's what Nigel's going to do. Put all of the far right thugs in that lot. Put all of us that lot in the. And what I don't want to do, I'm not becoming like Nigel Farage, because Nigel has been very divisive. He counts all of us as far right thugs, and he said that. He said that in 2018. So I'm not becoming like that. But if people are genuinely coming from a fascist background and it doesn't look like they've changed, then I'm not going to have anything to do with it. Bess, I love this channel. Richard means a lot to me. Appreciate that, Pauline. Thanks very much for that. Well, the reason I've changed from UKIP is because basically they're not electable. It's as simple as that. And the truth of the matter is, if UKIP want to change something, they should join the Advance Party. It's as simple. That's my opinion. And again, we've all got our own opinions, and I'm just expressing mine. So I'm not gonna argue or fight with anyone. Good choice, Mr. Knight X. All those immigrants need to be deported. We can't afford to keep them. It's our blood, sweat, and tears that are being wasted. I totally agree with that. Listen, we're in a lot of trouble, and we need a solution. So that's why I've just got to speak the truth. I can't come on here and tickle people's ears and basically say what I want people to hear. I've got to say what I know people want. Yeah. Swapped over to Counter Media from Richard Inman channel. Oh, Pinocchio Pete, thanks for that. Really appreciate that. And again, everyone in the super chats, thank you so much for that. The problem, do you know, the truth of the matter is, I'm waiting for YouTube to vaporize my channel. You know what I mean? So let's just hope that that they have changed the policies, because I was monetized on the Richard Inman channel back in 2019. I never really made any money out of it, but they vaporized it for a video I put out about something that happened in Northern Ireland, which you know, again, you just never know what excuse they're gonna use to get rid of you. I watched that too now. If all are removed from each town, the government will have to listen. The king is for it. The only king we need is King Jesus. Yeah, absolutely right. I think what we've got to do. We've got to, and let's get back to the point of what I was saying. Right, I'm not going to go into attacking other political parties, because that's really not what I'm about. I mean, I know it probably sounds like I am, but what I'm saying is I think advanced is the best option. I'm not going to get into digging other parties out, right? So let's get back to this. Sign the pledge. Set up a group in your own area. Start doing demos outside the migrant hotels. If you've no migrant hotels, start doing demos outside somewhere like the town hall or somewhere in the town centre where you'll get noticed. You don't have to tell the police if you're doing a static, peaceful demo pretty much anywhere in the country. You can just go and stand there with your banners, with your placards, with leaflets, engage with people on the street, tell them while you're there, tell them what's important, promote the pledge, promote whatever political party you support. Obviously, for me, it's going to be Advance, and start taking this to the streets peacefully. Again, I mean, obviously going around houses and knocking doors, I don't know whether that works anymore because nobody seems to answer the doors, but we've got to get active on the streets and we've got to get visible. The other thing is, do your own YouTube video, set your own channel up, start pushing stuff with your own YouTube channel, which I think is a great idea. Sunday's great, and we'll say it again. Stream full of love and hope, and with I agree 100%. I 100%. You know, the truth of the matter is, Sunday is about feeding every one of our souls. And like I say, guys, I am a sinner saved by grace, and I don't deserve anything from God. But what God's given me is the ability to speak. And, you know, it says somewhere in the Psalms, you know, if you open your mouth, God's going to fill it. I think it's in the Psalms, you know, and that's what I need. You know, I just open my mouth and I hope that God gives me the words that I need to communicate what I'm trying to communicate. Okay. Guys, we've been going an hour and 7 minutes. Whenever I come on and say I'm only going to do a short live stream, just message me in the comments and say you're a liar. It's not, you never do short live streams. We don't lose in the end, but it's important. It's important to remember that no political party is stopping the issues, as they have to happen for prophecy to be fulfilled. Yeah, I get that. But the reality is that none of us have a completely correct interpretation of prophecy either. So we've got to be flexible. Will God send revival in the last days? I believe the Bible's very clear about that. Yes, he will. Will there be a falling away and tribulation and persecution at the same time? Yes, there will. So it's working out how we fit into this whole realm. And you can't just rely on one interpretation of prophecy to say, well, that's how it's all going to pan out, and we don't need to do anything. I think we've got to be active in evangelism. We've got to be active in politics. We've got to be active in every area of life. And, you know, what does the Bible say? In the world, you'll have persecution. Sometimes we bring our persecution on ourselves, and we shouldn't feel sorry for ourselves when that happens. We should just suck it up and take it, you know. But no problem, Janet. We'll just keep doing these. We'll keep doing these sessions. We'll keep doing what we're doing. Yeah, we are. That's absolutely right. We're building a really nice wee community, honey. We are. And that's what it's all about. That's what it's all about. And again, even in the chat, get in touch with people. Find out if you can get in touch with people and just build the community, you know, however way you can. I mean, it's more difficult on YouTube than it is on X, because on X you can kind of DM each other. I haven't worked out how we can communicate with each other on YouTube. Hi, Richard. Keep up the great work, my friend. My best friend as a pastor. I'll be there on 13th, traveling from Bristol, staying 2 nights in Battersea. Well, Tony, yep, good man. I mean, that's what we've got to do. We've got to be mobilized. We've got to be at the events. We've got to be doing the business. We can't just sit back on the laurels and wait for it to happen. And again, thanks for the super chat. Everyone that's done the super chat today, thank you so much for them. It is really, really helpful. Hi, Richard. Since the launch of the pledge, only one YouTuber consistently leaves a link to it in his description box, and he also set up a what? Oh, who is that? Who's the YouTuber that does it? England Forever. Let me know. Let me know who's doing that, because I'd obviously like to thank him personally. We all support you. Your love for it, Claire Bear. Thanks for so much. Thanks so much for that. That's really appreciated. Because again, there's a lot going on. There's a lot going on that would make a lot of people give up. Never for a second do I believe you have an issue with race. Quite the opposite. Me, for example, I hate a certain ideology, not the people whom I believe are also the victims of cancer. Gordon, that's absolutely right. The biggest victims of jihadists are Muslims. That's a fact. The different sects, if you look at the Shia and Sunni thing, they've been going at it for years. But also look at what's going on in Syria now. Christians right now are getting slaughtered in Syria. Christians are getting slaughtered in West Africa. Christians are getting slaughtered in other parts of Levant, Iraq. Christians are getting killed in Pakistan. Christians are getting killed in Afghanistan. Christians are getting killed in Nigeria. Christians have been killed in Kenya. Christians have been killed in Somalia. So everywhere that Islam bumps up against another religion or another faith, there's conflict and there's battle. Exactly what's been happening between Pakistan and India. It's a conflict between Islamists, and I believe Pakistan is an Islamist country. I believe the government's Islamists and the rest of the world. And that's what we're seeing in the UK. And thankfully, it's not a violent conflict yet, but we've got to get a grip of this as a people and as a state. We've got to stamp out Islamism in our country. And I believe Ben will have a lot more leverage in doing that, because he's from a Pakistani background. His mother's English and his father's a Pakistani Muslim. Now, Ben's not a Muslim, okay? But he has an understanding of Islam because of the way he was brought up, and he knows the dangers of radical Islam. But he's going to be able to do a lot more because of his heritage than Nigel will be able to do. And obviously, Zia Yusuf is still a Muslim, so you can't have. To me, you cannot have. It sounds terrible, but I don't ever want to see a practicing Muslim as Prime Minister of our country. And that might sound awful bigoted. It might sound Islamophobic. I don't care. I don't want to see it, because the truth of the matter is, Islamic ideology, in my opinion, it is against Christianity. It's against our civilization. It has its own agenda to take over. And I don't want to see it getting power in our country. And it's got too much power already, way too much power. And I would like to see Islamists curtailed. And when I say curtailed, I mean restrained in the country. I'm not saying that we do anything bad or evil to them. We stop them getting power, and if any of them are foreign nationals and they're trying to destabilize our country, we deport them. Yeah, it doesn't really work, does it? Every time we try and stay off social media, we end up doing more social media. His name is Patriot Movement. Okay. Is it Patriot Movement or English Patriot? Is that the guy that reposts Tommy's stuff? Because he's been very good. I've seen a lot of the stuff he's done lately. He's a good lad, him, yeah. Okie doke. Yeah. Control the idiots who throw stuff and do vandalism. Also stop people blaming the police for the government. Yeah, I mean, the problem is, Windy Ridge, the police have been a problem. Not all of them. Some really good coppers. I've worked with some good ones on the marches, but there's some really bad ones as well. And it's, the odd bad one can, like everything, can cause real problems. I'm just going to scroll down here because I think I'm way. Brilliant. Been with Advance since first few hours. Ben got up and running. Me too. Me too. God bless the United Kingdom. The UK was built by Christians. The UK will be rebuilt by Christians. Absolutely hope so. That's right. Yeah, that's true. Whenever I say it's going to be a short video, everybody ignores me. That's quite right. Most people ignore me anyway. Yep. This is a very good one. Tommy said 8 out of 10 emails to support him in prison were from Christians. We're awakening from our timidity. Arise. Yep. And that's what we need to do. That's exactly what we need to do. Yeah, I love that verse. If my people who are this is it in First or Second Chronicles? If my people are called by my name will humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then I will hear from heaven, forgive their sin and heal their land. Absolutely. Yeah, I think local pledge groups are a really good idea. And people can pretty much, if everybody agrees with the pledge, people could set those up pretty much autonomously and just let us know what they're doing. Just send us some emails in through the pledge, and we'll work things out. So if people want to do that, send us some emails. You should all have the pledge email address. It's info@thepledge.org, info@thepledge.org.uk. And if you want to set up a local group, let us know, because I think that'd be a really good idea. I'm thinking about doing one in Northern Ireland, actually setting up a pledge group in Northern Ireland. I'm fuming. I don't know how much more I can take of this nonsense of the UK, the cover-ups, the science, the MSM's lies. I saw a Christian beheaded on Instagram. I mean, this is what's happening in Syria is absolutely monstrous, and we need to pray for people in Syria. It's horrendous what's happening, absolutely horrendous. That YouTuber is Patriot Movement, right? I'll have a look at that. Because that's really good. I mean, I'm really pleased there are people that that are actually doing that. I know, I get it, mate. I get it. The media tells us nothing. Absolutely. That's why we need to have these channels. I mean, what is happening in, I can't even pronounce the place, but that place in Syria, is it Saida or something, is genocide. It's as simple as that. It's horrendous what's happening. Some of the footage I've seen, I wouldn't put it out. I did a video on it the other day, and I watched the footage. I thought, I can't put this out. One, I don't want to traumatize people, but two, it gives them, those scumbag jihadists, what they want, which is they want people to be afraid. And I'm not afraid of those scumbags, you know. Oh, man. Have faith in God. He fights for his people. He turns evil to good for those that love him. Absolutely right. Yeah, well, this is the whole thing. We need people standing up. We need people standing up and speaking up. Can I ask you a favor, guys? I'm going to change the ban. I'm going to close this down, but in a bit. But can I ask you, before I close down, can everybody go to, let me just hide that comment there from Bess. Not for any other reason than I want to let everybody see my YouTube channel. Let me just get another comment up here quickly. Yeah, we do. Absolutely. We need the government. We need to pray for the government to change their evil ways. Can everybody subscribe to the YouTube channel there? Yeah. So if you just say youtube.com/@countermedia UK. Yeah. Can everybody that's in this chat please subscribe to that channel? If you're watching on Richard Inman, or if you're watching on X, please subscribe to the new YouTube channel, Counter Media. I want to try and build this. Obviously, I'm working within the restrictions that YouTube puts upon us. I get that. We've got to play the game. I mean, you know, we can't push that boundary. Obviously, you can say a lot more on X than you can on YouTube, but we've got to respect their rules. That they're the business. They run the thing. It's not us. So we've got to do what they want. But it doesn't mean we can't get our message across, because we've just got to say our message in a more subtle way. And we're not inciting anything. We're not inciting any violence. We're not doing anything wrong. So let's get everyone onto Counter Media UK and see if we can build that up. There you go. That says everything you need to know. The Commons debate led by Lamy focused on Gaza. When a Tory brought up the genocide and the Druze genocide, it was almost dismissed, so they could just focus on Gaza. Where there's, you know, I haven't seen IDF soldiers massacring families, right, and cutting children's heads off and kidnapping children, carrying them away in cars and photographing it. But I've seen stuff happening in Syria that's been absolutely horrendous, you know. And remember why the IDF are in Gaza. because those scumbags went into Israel and did exactly what those scumbag jihadists are doing in Syria now. Two sides of the same coin. Don't for 1 minute think there's any difference between Hamas and Jelani and his friends and Al-Qaeda and ISIS and all these disgusting, vile organization. Oh, great stuff. Unite the Right Yorkshire as a pledge group. That's brilliant. That's brilliant. We need to keep pushing it. We need to keep getting the pledge going. Yeah, get onto Counter Media, guys. Let's get this channel up to 100,000. Let's get up to 100,000 just to see what happens. Because I think if we get this channel up to 100,000, we can do amazing things with it. And I've got another channel I'm going to start as well. Well, I've actually already started it, but I haven't put any content on it yet. But it's going to be very focused on Christianity and how to save the UK and probably politics and unite the kingdom, something like that. But it's, yeah, I'm going to do that in the background because obviously this is basically going to be for everything. But the other channel I'm going to set up is going to be specifically for saving the UK politically, spiritually, and also bringing the culture together through unite the kingdom. Totally agree with that. Yeah, totally agree with that 100%. Okay. Right, guys, I'm going to shoot because we've been going for an hour 21 minutes. I was just going to do a 10-minute video to say everybody start doing demos, and that's still the message. Demos everywhere, Epping everywhere. We want Epping demos everywhere, but peacefully, respectfully, standing with the people of Epping, standing with the people of Ballymena, and saying that we're all in this together. The whole of the UK is in this together. So we want all the people that support the Unite the Kingdom rallies coming out and doing peaceful demos outside migrant hotels up and down the country. We're doing ours at 7 o'clock on Friday. That's what we're doing for years. So why not join us? 7 o'clock Friday. Come to Bangor, North Down, outside the Marine Court, and let's make that a really big demo. If you can't get to Bangor and you're somewhere else in the UK, just go out to your local migrant hotel, get a banner printed up, even write one on a piece of cardboard, and let's do this. Let's really start getting mobilized. It doesn't take an hour on a Friday. It's not going to cost anyone anything. And again, keep it peaceful. Obviously, we don't want any fights or riots or anything. Right, guys, I'm going to go. God bless you all. See you all soon. Thanks now. Oh, sorry, I just want to check something here. Yeah. Thanks for everything. See you soon, guys.